Okay, I'm going to do a different video this time. I've had a lot of people in the comments asking what my system is. So I'm going to go over that real quick, and then I really wanted to touch base on what has really improved DCS's performance for me in VR, as well as the guys I fly with. Some old tricks of the trade, and something new I learned probably around the time Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 came out. I got to give a shout out to the dude online who pointed us in this direction. So we'll go through that here in just a second. But for those of you who've been asking, I run Windows 11 Pro. I have an Nvidia GeForce RTX 4090 with 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. I forget what the megahertz was on it or whatever it is, but it was the highest I could get at the time. I got a 13th gen Intel i9 13900K, 300 megahertz, 24 core. And then I'm rolling with an old school Pimax 8K, not the 8KX, like literally the Kickstarter backer. So yeah, it's not as clear, obviously, as the newer age stuff, but it has the field of view I like. And man, I've just been riding this thing out since I had it. It's a beast. The old school stuff is, and man, I love it. Looking at getting up a super maybe, depending on what the reviews are like when it comes out. Because I did hear the field of view is 135 on horizontal, and I want to say running Pimax 8K on normal is 140. So we would probably, if their specs are accurate and what they're putting out to the public, if you're running the super on normal and not wide angle, I believe you would get something comparable to the 8K and the 8KX if what they're presenting is accurate, and what I've researched is accurate. We'll see. Running a Thrustmaster, I used to have the whole HOTAS. Well, I still have the whole HOTAS set up, but I recently changed my 15-year-old Warthog throttle out for a Winwing F15EX throttle. Could not be more pleased with it. Do a separate video on that at a later time. There's a ton of them out there, but I might have figured something out that has been an issue with the community about axes not working. Discuss that one later, but I've got some old school Thrustmaster rudder pedals, not the really expensive $500 ones, but the lower end. They're about $100. That's why when you guys see me flying the helicopters, I'm kind of janky as shit sometimes on takeoff, is because these stick. I need to get some new ones. I just need to get some new ones. It'd be cool to get some this year. We'll see. Could not be more pleased with my Virpil H64 collective. I have it mounted to my Boeing chair. I've done a separate video on that on my channel. And I absolutely love it. For anybody questioning whether or not you can have multiple devices hooked up at the same time for DCS and utilize all of them, you absolutely can. Essentially what you do is you just delete all the buttons and axes for the throttle on the helicopters, and you bind everything to the collective. And as long as you've got it set up on your chair or your Boeing seat or whatever that fits you best, it works great. Man, I just can't. I won't go back to the throttle for helicopters now on DCS or any other flight sim for that matter if something ever beats DCS. So yeah, that's what I'm rocking right now. Um, I like it. The computer's been around now probably about a year and a half, and I primarily use it really specifically for DCS, and then I've got a few other things on here. Primarily Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. I nerd out every once in a while to a space sim, but so yeah, that's my system setup for those of you who have been wondering what I'm flying into the jungle with and all my videos on, and why I run everything on high. Now, I will say with the Pimax 8K, because it's an older headset, I can probably get away with running my stuff at a higher resolution than, say, maybe the Crystal or the Crystal Super even. I don't know. We'll see when it comes out and I get one. So this, me running everything on high is going to vary depending upon clearly what you guys are rolling with and your VR headsets if you're flying with VR. So I don't need to save that, so we'll go ahead and close this out now. What I'd like to go over is your shader files. And the very first one I'm going to touch on is a newer one I learned about, and I was very, very hesitant to do this because I had read some horror stories online that if you delete anything in your app data folder regarding Nvidia, it's really bad, and you may inadvertently screw something up that would be a really difficult time fixing without reinstalling shit. So that really turned me off from doing this. And when Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 came out, I got really ballsy and I was like, you know, I trusted this dude online for some silly reason, which I never do, and I rolled with it. And man, I cannot tell you guys enough how much this improved my performance in VR with DCS. And I've seen other people on the forum say to do this, and I just, man, it wasn't worth it at first. And when I did this, it completely improved my performance in VR. So if you follow these steps to the T, you'll have no issues. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into your Nvidia settings panel, and this is the new app that Nvidia has. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go check your drivers, make sure you have the latest game driver installed. Not, I messed this up, learn from me. Don't try to install both of them. If you install Studio driver, it's going to install it over the game driver, and it doesn't recognize your game driver, and then you got to go back and reinstall the game driver. So just make sure you only got the game driver installed. I'm up to date. I've got the latest one that they have out, so we're good there. So once you validate that you have the latest drivers, you're going to go to the graphics tab. You're going to go over here to global settings, and on these settings you're going to look for shader cache size. Now I've already done this, so I didn't have to restart my computer during the video, but what you want to do, typically it's on, for me is on unlimited. Maybe I'll change it around and select something else, but what you need to do is disable. Click disable, and you'll see disabled here on shader cache size. You're going to restart your computer after you do this. Now, once you restart your computer, you're going to want to bring up you're going to go to your user file. So it's going to be users, your name, should all be familiar with this. You're going to go into app data. And when you go into app data, we're going to be working with local and local low. First one you're going to do, go into local. And you're going to find your Nvidia folder. Don't worry about corporation, you're just looking for the Nvidia folder. For some reason, when I went to do this, I did not have a GL cache folder. There was nothing in here, and it kind of concerned me. It kind of didn't. I didn't know why it wasn't there. I thought it might have been something I had done screwing around, installing and uninstalling those drivers when I accidentally did it wrong. If for some reason you go in here and you have nothing in here, create this folder. You're just going to go here, you're going to go new, you're going to create a new folder, and you're going to name it GL cache, just like I have here, capital G, capital L, capital C, and then ACHE. Once you create this, your games are going to start generating your shader files for your NVIDIA card. Now, these are NVIDIA shaders, and everything I researched is where it gets shady, and I got real nervous to do this. I thought if I deleted this, it would mess stuff up. Is not going to, and I'm going to prove it to you. So what we're going to do, you don't need to drill into any other folders. Just delete them. They're going to regenerate. Whatever game you're playing, it's going to regenerate those shaders in your GL cache folder. If you do not have a GL cache folder, it's not going to generate them. So make sure that folder's in there, NVIDIA. So we're going to back out. Now we're going to go to local low. Again, NVIDIA. Now we're going to drill into a few more folders here. You're going to go into per driver version, DX cache, and all of these. It looks like a lot because it is a lot. These are all the shader files your games are games are creating every time you start up. So you're going to delete these. It's going to ask you, are you sure you want to do this shit because you're in your app data folder? Yes, it is okay. Trust me. For those of you out there going, I don't trust this dude. Fuck no, I'm not messing with it. I promise you, is going to regenerate these files. I do this every time there's a major update, and I held off tonight to do this video because we just had that 14 gig update for DCS. So what this does is, now that my NVIDIA shaders are deleted, when well, before I go down that path, let's go to the next one, right? So that covers your Nvidia shaders. Just go ahead and empty the basket, just to prove to y'all I don't give a shit about those files. The next set of shader files, now this is old school. We're going to go to our DCS Open Beta. I have done this religiously since I've been playing DCS. Every time there's an update, I do this. And this was posted in the forum, I'm talking years ago, like years and years ago. It may be debatable with people now, like, oh, you don't need to do that shit. Trust me. These, you're going to want to go into your FXO folder, these shader files right here. I mean, you can see how many of them I have. This is from everything I'm playing in DCS. It's all DCS related. You're going to delete those. In this open beta, DCS open beta is going to also here. I won't go to the quick. I'll go to users, my name. I'm going to go to saved games, DCS open beta, and then the FXO folder. It's what I just deleted, right? My FXO folder, there's those shaders, and then meta shaders 2. You're not going to have as many in here. I still delete them. Now, we'll empty that. So now what you've done is you've deleted your Nvidia shader files. You've cleared that old material out. When you start up any game, whether it's whatever, Microsoft Flight Sim, DCS, is going to recreate those shader files from scratch. And think of it as a clean sheet of paper, right? You don't have a bunch of garbage on there you don't need anymore. You don't have old shit on there. It's a blank page. So what you need to do next is go back into your panel just like we did before. Go to your graphics settings, go to global settings. Then you come back down here and you're going to go to unlimited. And boom, you are now ready to launch DCS from a clean slate. Now, what has this done for me in VR? I think over time, and there's a lot better people out there that can explain this a lot better than me. But I'm guessing over time those shader files start to collect, like you just saw in my folder, and you have old shader files from maybe old mods, old missions that you've been flying. Then DCS comes along like today with a 14 gig patch. You reload into the jungle and you go fly it again, right? And somehow, beyond my level of experience, those shader files can conflict with one another. So I have made it a routine habit, like I said, after these patches. You saw how quick and easy it was to go in and do that. It doesn't damage the computer, it doesn't damage any games, and when I say night and day performance, I'm talking like stuttering, jitters, any kind of, and not major performance hits on me, but I've seen others who have taken severe performance hits in VR and done this, and they're like, holy shit, like I can't believe I didn't know about this before now. So those of you flying in VR and even in pancake mode, right, in desktop mode, I would highly encourage doing this because I think it'll drastically increase your performance with your PC and with your VR, and I think it'll just make DCS all that much more enjoyable. Before anybody comes back and says I'm full of shit and it didn't work for them, I'm not a genie. I don't know what everybody's system is, and this brings me to my next point, right? Like I've shown you my system settings. I show you what I do every time there's a patch that's released to keep DCS running smooth for me. The next thing I want to show you is the mods. Mods is a big thing, right? So Candy, myself, and Zipper are working on Into the Jungle, obviously. So again, I went to my open beta folder. Now, a lot of people out there use Mod Manager. Candy uses a Mod Manager. I'm 44. I've been messing with this shit, and Candy's older than me. I'm not gonna knock Candy. He's he's trying to get me to use the Mod Manager all the time, but I just way back, and I'm going to show my age here, back in the Elder Scrolls days, I just got used to doing everything on my own. And I guess I just like having that kind of control. I know it's not easier, I know it's not faster, and I know it's not as productive. It's just a glitch with me. So if you go into your mods, this is the folder where you're going to have everything for DCS, right, in your save games folder. So if you go into aircraft, this is all I have installed right now. for mods for flyable aircraft. The A4, the Bronco, the Hercules, the Cayuse, and the Black Hawk. All but the Black Hawk and the Hercules right now are on Into the Jungle. If we go into services, I just have SRS. We go into tech, the Bin Laden compound, obviously, not for Into the Jungle. The OH6 playground pack and the weapons pack. Candy doesn't even have this. If you're watching this, Candy, you need to get this. The OH6A playground pack is another. It got released with the Cayuse. Just add some more ground static stuff for kind of like modern day, some old stuff. But this is Toby's stuff. Then Sea King pack. We have that, the Sea King helicopter for the Navy and Into the Jungle, TAC View, and then Toby and Ape Hall's Vietnam Asset Pack. Why am I showing you this and why does this matter? You've seen the mods that I have on my computer now. I can tell you 100% with uncertainty that's all I have on here for DCS. That's it. I haven't installed anything else. These aren't mods, but these are all my liveries. I keep all my liveries in here for my aircraft, so I know exactly what's in here. And basically what I'm getting at is nothing goes in the root directory. Nothing goes in my C prompt into Eagle Dynamics DCS World Open Beta. It's all in here. So that being said, the reason I'm bringing this up is for those of you playing Into the Jungle. If you go in here, and you have more mods than I just showed you, there can be a possibility of mods, not just messing with Into the Jungle, right, but anything in DCS. And I've followed this a lot on the forums. I've listened to Eagle Dynamics, and anytime anybody has a problem with DCS World, that's usually the first thing they ask. They're like, "Do you have any mods installed?" And most people who install these and mess with them know the routine, right? They know where they're installed to. They know what they have on their computer. They're either using a mod manager, which I will admit, I'll give Candy credit. It's easier to see what you have installed, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier to uninstall them at the click of a button than doing it manually like this. Don't ask me why I'm such a hard head, but it's just the way it is. Now, that being said, again, there are mods that require exe executable installers where you download it and it launches the software to install it into DCS. Now, because I've had my way around exe files since the DOS days, I'm very familiar with like kind of where it installs to, how it works, and all that. So I'm not as afraid of them. But I will tell you, you have to be cautious anytime you're installing anything into DCS with an executable file, because I'll give you a good example. The three of us installed that shader mod a long time ago that increased the contrast and made things darker and made you see further and all that. It was an executable file. And what happened was that executable file, you can go into DCS and you can delete it in here. But what we found was really weird was that shit showed back up the next time we played DCS. It was almost like you could never uninstall it manually. And I remembered with that executable file when I went to install it for the first time, this is the shader mod. I don't think that's the official name for it, but it was a shader mod that came out. When you double clicked on the exe file, it asked if you wanted to install, uninstall. I think there might have been one other thing. I had to go in when I installed that because I wanted it off my computer because it was interfering somehow. This has been a few years back with I think the F18 or something, but you had to go into that exe file, launch it, and hit uninstall to completely wipe it clean. It's kind of like going into your computer and using the uninstall apps instead of just right clicking and deleting shit off your C drive. You want to kind of follow the method of uninstalling a program from your computer instead of just deleting it. So just be cautious if you install something in DCS World through an executable file and you're not using a mod manager or you're not doing it manually like me and you know where it's going. I can promise you, Candy's run into this, I've run into this, where we're like, we don't have any mods installed, and you forget about that damn shader mod or whatever you installed because it didn't install to this location and you don't realize it. DCS repair. So if you I'm sure most of you know about this too, but if you go to your apps here and you scroll down to Eagle Dynamics, you can do the update right here. If you do repair DCS World Open Beta, it'll go find files and stuff that don't need to be there. If I remember correctly, though, that repaired DCS Open World did not, or Open Beta did not get rid of that shader mod. So just be cautious. I just want everybody to know is y'all feed us information about Into the Jungle. If you're having performance issues, if you run through this checklist I've told you tonight, Nvidia shaders, DCS shaders, knowing what mods you have on there compared to what we're running, because the guys are running the exact same thing I am. They don't have anything more, anything less. If you run through that checklist and you're still having problems and you have other mods installed, we'll be glad to help you troubleshoot, but you're just going to have to give us a heads up if you've got something different installed on your computer, if you're running like a really old computer. Another thing that helps with performance, because Into the Jungle is labor intensive on shadows because of all the trees. We have the sun coming up in that mission to really give the ambiance of the fog. The fog is dynamic, so it burns off as the sun comes up. You really want to, if you have a lower end computer and you struggle with those shadows, I can tell you from experience with my last computer being old and outdated before I got this one, I had to shut the shadows down to increase the performance in VR. So you may want to kill the shadows if y'all are struggling and you've done everything I've suggested in this video. The shadows are a big one. The clouds can be a big one. Like I said, we're trying to keep this thing performance savvy for everybody, and we absolutely realize that we're running more top tier computers and we're thinking of everybody who doesn't, have the fortunate ability to run that stuff. So we are keeping you in mind, but just realize that some of the stuff you may have to go in yourself and turn down to get it to run if it's a little jaggedy. The last thing I will say, and we'll cut this one, is we had 2 or 3 people in the comments complaining about, well, not complaining, letting us know. Sorry about that. Not complaining, but letting us know that it was a slideshow when y'all launched the rockets and engaged, and we were able to figure out what it was. I think Candy got that issue squashed tonight. We realized that as soon as you let the rockets loose, when they hit the ground, you were good. When you fired, you were good. It was when they made contact with enemy units and exploded is when it became a slideshow. We were able to replicate the issue in single player and in VR, and both Candy and I on separate machines, and I say we, I mean Candy and I we're troubleshooting that all day today, in between stuff at work, and Candy was able to figure it out, I believe, tonight. So I think we got that squashed, so everybody can lay that to rest and not have to worry about slideshows anymore. And we'll get the updated version pushed out ASAP. I also did a video yesterday talking about eliminating some of the assets on the deck that were kind of like unnecessary at Anderson that you really didn't see too much, just to increase performance a little more as well, since we got some new aircraft coming this year. Hopefully the F-100 Super Sabre and the F-104 Starfighter will get added this year if they come out, which I suspect they will. And God willing, the Sandy. It's a stretch, but it'll be cool if Sky Raider gets out. So I hope this helps y'all out with performance. It's not just Into the Jungle. I can tell you anything you do on DCS doesn't matter. Multiplayer, single player, doesn't matter what you're flying. And especially if you're in VR, I promise you, if you do all of what I talked about tonight, it's going to help you out tremendously, and I promise not leading you down the wrong path. All 3 of us do this religiously. Like I said, every time there's a patch. So hope this helped you guys out. Y'all, if y'all have questions for any of us, I started attaching the Eagle Dynamics thread in their forum that we have Into the Jungle on. And y'all just go to that link and you can post comments in there. I highly encourage anybody who's flying Into the Jungle to do videos. We love hearing back from you guys and just seeing that y'all are having a blast like we are with this. Please, I use OBS to do all my recording. I forgot to put that out there, but some people ask, I can't click on this because I think it'll fuck it up. But I have the plugin I have for DCS is not display capture. It's the OpenVR plugin for OBS. I have it under this profile here, or this scene. So I highly recommend using OBS for recording is so much better than any other software that we've been able to come across. I mean, y'all see my videos that it comes out crisp and it's recording what's in the headset. So definitely recommend that. But yeah, I hope this helped everybody out. If y'all have any questions, hit us up and we'll be glad to answer what we can. And yeah, just keep looking for more content on Into the Jungle. We're going to keep pushing out updates and yeah, making the jungle great again until Eagle Dynamics, which sounds like we're a ways off from getting a Vietnam experience going, a Vietnam map. So we'll try to fill the gap for you guys as long as possible with new content. We have some stuff up our sleeve, maybe for the north on Saipan and Tinian and everything up north. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And yeah, appreciate everybody's support and enjoying what we're working on. We enjoy doing it for you.